Hi, my name is Eric Marsh, and I am the assistant principal at Boyertown Middle School East. On the evening of April 2nd, there was a planned presentation for parents of incoming sixth graders to Middle School East next school year. Unfortunately, with the current situation of the school buildings being closed, though, we were unable to do the presentation in person, which everybody obviously would have preferred. This is a screencast of that presentation, which will at least give you some insight as to what the middle school will be like as parents and students of current fifth graders who may have some questions, may even be a little bit nervous if you haven't had older siblings that have come through the building already as to what middle school will be like. I know everybody has a lot going on right now, so I will try to be brief, but this will hopefully give you some information until we're able to get back into the buildings again. So let's begin. The presentation will cover the following topics: the middle school philosophy, an overview of the middle school schedule compared to the elementary schedule, an explanation of period 10 and some of the activities that are offered during that period of the day. And have no fear, there will be opportunities to get into the school at some point, hopefully after all this is over, and opportunities to explore the building and ask questions. In the meantime, though, at the end of this presentation, there is a link of my email address in case you have any questions before we're able to do those types of activities again. The middle school philosophy is one of trying to take a fairly large school community and making it smaller, especially for our sixth grade population. We had almost 940 or so kids in the middle school this past school year. So for sixth graders, in order to try to shrink that down a little bit, make it more manageable and more comfortable for them, we actually have 4 teams of students as opposed to 2 teams typically in 7th and 8th grade. We have increased interdisciplinary options, meaning that the core subject areas and even the special subject areas kind of come together and combine around common themes, especially a couple points during the school year, to do some special activities together and just help students understand that all the subjects really are connected together in different ways. And it's not just science only and social studies only and so on and so forth. There's a picture on the right here of some of our students in one of their interdisciplinary days that they participate in throughout the school year. Fewer transitions in the middle school with longer instructional periods. In elementary school, the students are used to having about 45 minutes in between their classes and going from one place to the next place possibly. In the middle school, however, their core subject areas are double periods. So for their ELA, science, social studies, and science, they will actually have 2 periods each of those subject areas. We do have, as I mentioned, 4 academic teams in 6th grade. Their emphasis is on collaboration. We do have a special team building day for 6th graders early on in the school year, where they will be doing different team building activities and character building activities throughout the day. They actually don't have any regular classes that day in order to do those activities. And that's just one example of the emphasis on collaboration. There's also a special 6th grade activity night towards the beginning of the school year where there are different activities planned for them to get used to just being in the middle school and meeting new people from other elementary schools and the like. Increased teacher communication. Obviously, with modern technology, such as we are using here, there are so many different ways to communicate anymore, and teachers really do take it upon themselves to make sure that they are communicating with both the students and the parents, whether it be via, online, somehow through Google Classroom, making a phone call, email, or other ways to make sure that they are communicating what's going on in class with everybody. Our school counselors provide support and continuity. Moving from the elementary school to the middle school, we know that there are going to be some anxieties sometimes, such as even just getting used to the lockers and combinations and things like that. And our school counselors really do a great job of helping to support all the students, including the 6th graders when they come to the middle school, especially during those first few weeks. Next school year, Mrs. Bellino will be the counselor for 6th grade and will follow them all throughout their middle school career. For the middle school schedule, we run on a 6-day cycle. So in elementary school, students are used to going by what classes they have on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for example. In the middle school, we focus more on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on and so forth for a 6-day cycle. And there will be plenty of opportunities to see what a middle school schedule looks like and how to read them and answer questions about the schedule. So we're not going to get too far into that right now, just because it can be confusing sometimes, but you will get to see an example here in a moment. It is a 10-period day in the middle school. We have 8 instructional periods. And I said before that 6 of those instructional periods are going to be for major subject areas during the day. There is also obviously a lunch period, and then our activity / club / study hall period, which is period 10, or the last period of the day. The daily schedule looks like this. Doors open, whether students are coming in off of the bus or whether they're getting dropped off by a parent at 7:15 in the morning. Breakfast is offered every morning from 7:15 to 7:30 for students. There is a homeroom from 7:35 to 7:43 to take attendance to get their Chromebooks. All students will have Chromebooks in 6th grade, so they'll be in the school and charging overnight, and so they'll pick those up in homeroom as well to use throughout the day. And then bus students are dismissed at 2:40, and walkers or parent pickup students are dismissed at 2:45. As I said, here's an example of what a daily schedule does look like for a 6th grader. You can see that math, ELA, social studies, science are all double periods there. And then you have a period of specials, 8th and 9th period on this schedule. Now, currently this year, our students have their specials 1st and 2nd period. However, that is subject to potentially change next year. But this is what a typical schedule will look like. As I mentioned already, there are 2 periods of English language arts, 2 periods of math, 2 periods of science, and 2 periods of social studies. So the only thing I'll add to this slide is that the science and social studies, if you can see in the parentheses, are semester courses, which means that they will have science and social studies for half a year each. So if a student starts out the year with science, they'll have science for the first half of the year or the first semester, and then they would have social studies for the second half of the year, and vice versa. If they start out with social studies, they'll have that for the first half of the year, and then science for the second half. Special area classes. Art is a 60-day course. We do run on trimesters in the middle school. So by trimesters, those are 60-day periods. So art, you can see, is a trimester. Tech ed is also a trimester at 60 days. And then business and health make up one trimester between the 2 courses. They are 30 days consecutively each. So if a student has business first for 30 days, then they would go to health for the second 30 days of the trimester. And once again, like the science and social studies, the reverse would be true. If they have health first, then they would go to 30 days of health consecutively, and then go to business for 30 days to round out the trimester. General music or chorus are 2 days per cycle all year long, depending on which one the student has. Phys ed is every other day all year long, so they have that 3 days a cycle. And they have a class called Road to Success 1 day per cycle all year long. That is taught by their school counselor, which, as I said, next year will be Mrs. Bellino. There are all kinds of different skills taught in that Road to Success class to help the students be successful. And they are geared towards 6th graders and their needs to help them get through the school year and to feel comfortable. And once again, the whole goal is to help them to be able to navigate the middle school and to be successful. Music electives. The music program is obviously a very popular program in Boyertown. And so there is band and orchestra that is offered if students choose to be a part of those. Those are 3 days per cycle during period 10 at the end of the day. There's also a 6th grade chorus ensemble that is 2 days per cycle in place of general music. So if they do participate in chorus, they will not be in a general music class. Chorus will take the place of that general music class. And that one is by audition only. Period 10. Period 10 is the last period of the day, and these are some of the options for students at the end of the day during period 10, such as one day a cycle. There is an advisory period where students will be assigned to a teacher, and usually we try to keep those classes smaller, say 12 to 15 students, so those students can get to know that teacher well throughout the year. They do all kinds of different activities as far as 7 habits of being successful, and also just different activities to get to know one another and to build that rapport and relationship with both the students and the teachers, so that way they have somebody that they feel comfortable with if they do have questions or they have an issue, that they know that they can go to that person and they want to help them out, whether it be with grades, an issue with another peer, anything like that. We also offer many different clubs during period 10. There will be an opportunity to sign up for those clubs coming up very shortly. You'll see some information coming out about clubs. There are different clubs that are interest clubs, such as there's a Harry Potter movie club. There is a basketball club, as a couple examples. There are also some examples of clubs that are application clubs, we call them, where the students do have to apply and be selected to be a part of those clubs. Once again, there will be more information on what clubs are available to sixth graders very shortly coming out, so please be looking for that. Study club is also offered 10th period if students are not in advisory that certain day, if they're not a member of a club, if they are not in some of the music courses that I talked about, such as band and orchestra, they may be assigned to a study club where they can get some of their work done before they leave for the day to come home, or maybe go to sports practice after school. Enrichment and remediation. As the year goes on, if students have questions and are maybe struggling in certain areas, there are different remediation and enrichment opportunities during period 10, such as camps in the subject areas, such as ELA camp, math camp, social studies camp. If a student is struggling in a particular subject area, it's an opportunity for them to be signed up by the teacher to attend a camp, usually 1 or 2 days a cycle, where it's a small group of students and that teacher can work with them on a very small scale to help answer questions and help give them that extra remediation that they may need. There are also makeup periods for each of the teams during period 10 as well. So if there's any makeup work that a student needs to do for whatever reason for their particular team of teachers, they may also go to a makeup session period 10. And those are just a couple of the opportunities that are there to help support students if they need it. And I mentioned the music ensembles before, as far as band and orchestra being period 10 as well. Advisory, I touched on this a little bit before, but we want every student to know that they are important and unique and they have a place in our school community. We want to ensure them that somebody cares about them and that we are there to help them no matter what needs they may have throughout the school year. Obviously, being a teenager, being in middle school, it can be a bit of a roller coaster at times with a lot of emotional highs and lows. And we want to be there to support them throughout everything, whether it's a success to celebrate or whether there's something that they need to work on to help them improve one way or another. This complements our No Place for Hate program also, and there are some activities that happen at the end of the day throughout the year during period 10 to go along with our No Place for Hate program. Social emotional learning is also a topic that is touched on in advisory, where obviously we want the students to be successful as a student and as a person as well. But we also want them to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. We don't want them to feel stressed out more than they have to, and we certainly don't want them to feel overwhelmed in the middle school. We want them to be able to take care of themselves to be able to be most effective and to stay healthy. These are some of the things that I mentioned along with the last slide as far as our goals and what we want to get out of advisory, as far as being responsible and independent, to be problem solvers, open-minded, and accepting of other ideas, and to think outside of the box. Clubs also take place during 10th period. A couple other things besides what I mentioned before about some of the clubs. They are a privilege. If a student signs up for a club as in a club, but then they start to struggle academically in classes, then they can be taken out of a club in order to be put in some of the camps that I had mentioned or other remediation, as academics does have to take precedence. As well, if there are some behavior issues that come up throughout the year, that is another reason why a student might be taken out of a club as well. So students do need to understand that they are privileged and they don't have to be in the clubs even if they have signed up for one. They are dependent upon interest and availability. We will ask students to rank their club choices. They do get to choose clubs by grade level. So 8th graders will get to choose clubs first, and then 7th graders, and then 6th graders. So some of the higher interest clubs, the ones that are more popular, may go more quickly and may not be available by the time 6th graders get to choose. And so they may have to have a second or maybe even a third choice club if they want to be in a club, just because of when they get to choose in the pecking order. Study clubs are an opportunity for students to work quietly on homework and prepare for upcoming assessments and or reading that I had mentioned before. Here at the bottom, there is a date of April 14th when club forms were due back to the teacher. Please disregard that at this point. That obviously would have been if we didn't have the school closure that we are currently going through right now. As I mentioned, we will be sending out information very shortly about clubs and club signups, so please be looking for that. Technology. Students will get Chromebooks in 6th grade, and there will be a technology fee that you will get information about as we get closer to the school year. That will need to be that all people need to pay for the Chromebook, and essentially, it's going to cover the student's ability to have a Chromebook and be able to use it throughout the year. And it is a necessary tool that they do need for their classes. They will use it pretty much on a daily basis. And if there is any damage that occurs to the Chromebook throughout the year, it will also lessen the cost of repairs should any need to be done. The Chromebook is for academic use only. We will talk to the students about this in the Road to Success class, especially about how the Chromebook should not be used for their personal gaming device or to be sending emails back and forth to their friends. It is supposed to be for academic use only, and it will stay at school, as I said. They will drop them off at the end of the day. After 10th period, they go back to homeroom for a very brief time so that they can plug their Chromebooks in and they're ready to go the next morning. I mentioned many different forms of communication and how we want to make sure that everybody is informed or we can answer questions that parents and students have. This will be year 2 next year of Infinite Campus and making the transition to that platform. We have the school district webpage that is updated frequently. There is Facebook and Twitter for the middle school to look for information on there. And monthly, there will be a coffee with the principal session as well for parents to come in if they're available and ask questions, and the principal to go over different highlights and upcoming events that are going on at East. School safety. This is our top priority. If students don't feel safe and comfortable at school, it is nearly impossible for them to be successful and for them to feel like they're a part of our community. So this is something that we take extremely seriously. And these are just some of the ways that we want students to know that we do take it seriously, and so that we are doing our best to try to keep everybody in the building safe. From emergency drills to secured entrances, we have the Raptor visitor verification system. If you have to come into the building and drop something off or come in to pick up a student, we do have video surveillance in the building. We have an unarmed security officer that is at the front door and you check in with when you come into the building. We do have an armed police officer, Officer Perez, that goes around to all the buildings in the district. And we have collaboration with the local law enforcement, which is New Hanover Township Police Department. Some general information. The student handbook code of conduct will be available online this summer, and that will be kind of the go-to to answer many of the specific questions that you may have, such as things about dress code, discipline, even lunch money, anything such as that will be found in the student handbook and will be available once again online through the web page. We do update it yearly during the summer to make any kind of tweaks or updates or changes that need to be made. School supply list will also be made available during the summer as we get closer to the school year. A school supply list for each grade level will be sent home, so you'll know exactly what students need coming into the school year and they can be prepared. There's also going to be information about gym uniforms. In Middle School East, we ask that the students wear a red t-shirt and black shorts and sneakers, and that it has some sort of like Boyertown insignia or saying on the shirt at least, and it's not just a t-shirt with something else on it that is not Boyertown related. That is what's required in the gym classes at Middle School East. They won't be required to have that gym uniform on the first few times, as the gym teachers will be going over different expectations and rules and things like that, and handing out gym locks for the students to use in the gym lockers during gym class. Lunch menus will be also distributed during the summer, as well as a program of studies as far as courses are concerned. Upcoming events. The Tuesday, May 5th event, unfortunately, is safe to say now, because of this closure of the schools for the rest of the school year, is not going to be available anymore, unfortunately. However, hopefully by the time we get to the August and September dates, we will be good to go again. So as you can see, even without that May date, there are still a number of opportunities throughout the summer and going into next fall for students and parents to come into the building and to get used to where their classes are going to be found, to get used to using the lockers, to meet some of the faces that they will be seeing throughout the year, and to ask questions that they may have. Back towards the beginning of the presentation, when we talked about how collaboration and teamwork is a focus in the middle school, these are just some pictures from the team building day that I mentioned that the sixth graders will participate in towards the beginning of the school year. You can see here some of our sixth graders from this year and them participating in some of the activities. Inside and outside, we have some eighth graders that are called Bear Ambassadors at our school that assist throughout the day. You can see a couple of them in the top right there in their red t-shirts that assist the sixth graders. And our Bear Ambassadors are awesome in helping the sixth graders, especially the first few weeks of school, transition to middle school life. And they are there in the hallways in their red shirts so that they're easily visible to help sixth graders find their classrooms, answer questions, and just help them feel comfortable in the building. Once again, if you have any questions after all the things that have been gone through here in the slides, you can obviously get in touch. Our email addresses are found on the East website. Once again, my name is Eric Marsh, and currently Mr. Rupert is the principal at Middle School East. Unfortunately, towards the end of the summer, he will be retiring, so we're not exactly sure who will be taking his place as of yet. The beginning of next school year, but I'm sure that that announcement will be made once we know who that is, and that contact information will be made available to you as well. But please don't hesitate to reach out if you do have any questions in the meantime. We do look forward to seeing you hopefully sooner rather than later, and welcoming you to the East family. Thank you for watching, and please be safe and take care.